Tim Gossage in the chair for The Pipe. He's been filling in for breakfast with David King, but Gary and Tim back on Monday. Don't forget, 1300 736 736 is the open line, or the Temper text, Temper, a mattress like no other, 0433 98 11 16. First pen to paper in an exchange in the trade time was that of Jake Kelly from the Adelaide Crows to the Essendon Football Club. After 110 games with the South Australian team, he now finds himself at Tullamarine. To tell us more, it's Josh Marnie from the Essendon Football Club. Appreciate your time, Josh. Well, one down. Is there more to come?
Yeah, g'day, Tim. It was nice to get Jake's deal done sort of straight away as trade period opened, and it's an important signing for us. As you mentioned, he's played 110 games, comes in at a good age at 26, and really can add to the back line that we've been building probably this year, and adds a lot of flexibility for us. So excited to get that deal done. And in terms of future opportunities, we haven't really got any targets moving into the next little period for this whole trade period, but it's really just sitting back and looking at what opportunities might present themselves.
So recruited as a defender, plays as a defender, recruited as a defender. There's no something earmarked for something different for Jake?
No, that's the role we're bringing him for. We did throw quite a few forwards back this year, and it worked very well with Jaden Laverde and James Stewart, two players in particular that improved throughout. But what we like about Jake is he's a genuine defender, can play on talls and smalls, did some terrific jobs on some of the most dangerous forwards this year, and he's ultimately a really good competitor, and we think it'd be really good to have him in the mix of our defenders.
Josh Marnie, Essendon GM of football, is online. We're talking about Jake Kelly coming to the football club. Let's talk about a couple of others at the footy club. What's the latest on Michael Hurley? We keep hearing reports, and we're obviously in this COVID crazy world where there's not a lot of sightings in regards to his progress. Where is he at in regards to health and fitness, and what's his football future look like at Essendon?
Yeah, so Hurl's had an operation a couple of weeks ago, a hip operation, quite a significant operation. So now he'll just be in the rehab phase, and that was really to give him the best chance to come back to AFL football. We felt like it had the operation that he needed to have. So now he's just going through that. It'll take a fair bit of time. He's just got to gradually start to move again. The most pleasing thing is he's pain-free, which he hasn't been for nearly 12 months now, which is pretty devastating for him. So to be pain-free, first of all, he can actually now start the whole progress, and he's still got ambitions of getting back and playing AFL. We know it's going to take a lot of things to go right to get there, but we're very supportive with him and helping through that.
So, is there some concern that he may have played his last game? I mean, and how how long does a football club wait for a young man to either tick the box of fitness that he can get back and play, or makes a decision? I mean, are you just going to sit and wait for him to make that call, or the medicos?
Oh, yeah, we just got to make sure that he's progressing. He made some good progress this year, but we just felt like he needed to have this operation that he just had. And now, it's probably going to be some different timelines, but, hopefully he's in a stage probably around March or April where we're starting to get a better handle of where he's at. And then, so probably the first thing is getting physically being able to move and physically being able to play the game. And then it's about whether you can perform as well off the back of that. So, yeah, there's going to be a few different milestones that both us and Hurls will work through at different stages.
No doubt. What's the philosophy at Essendon in regards to this trade period, and where do you want to shape your list prior to the draft, and how do you improve your draft hand? Is that part of the intention of the Essendon Football Club?
Yeah, Tim, probably the most pleasing thing out of this year is we've got a much better handle of where our list is at, and that was off the back of a lot of players having career best seasons and showing a lot of improvement. And now we think that although there was so much improvement this year, we still think there's a lot of players that are untapped really on our list. So rather than going out and trying to bring in too many people externally, we think there's a lot of improvement. Our main improvement is going to come from our current list. So really adding Jake Kelly was a target for us. And now it's really about probably our draft hand at the moment. We've got pick 11 and then 2 third-round picks at the moment. Rob Forster Knight and Adrian Dodoro that look at our recruiting. I think there's a lot of talent in this draft around the second round, so we're trying to improve our draft hand is probably going to be our focus for this trade period. But as I said, if opportunities do come up, as you need to do as a club, is we'll look at each on their own merits and make a decision if we need be.
So, Josh, with the COVID world that we're all living in, is that now taken into account from your list managers in regards to young men who are from interstate who don't want to get trapped in a state where they can't get back out? And we hope that going forward we get some normality and the borders come down. But right now, when you're drafting kids and trying to recruit kids to your football club, are you taking will they take into account the possibility of being stuck and not being able to see friends and family? We're seeing a lot of that with other players interstate.
I don't think so. I think everyone's got an optimistic view of COVID and what next year looks like, and obviously everyone's dealing with some different situations at the moment. We're dealing with our own players trying to get back into their home states currently, and some getting in and some not getting in and having to wait. So we're hoping that all things return somewhat to normal, and there is that ability to move. But probably the main thing that our recruiters in particular have to think about is that some of the states have had full seasons of football, whereas in Victoria there's been 10 games. So a lot of the players haven't played a lot of footy over the last 2 years, particularly in Victoria, and that is something we have to balance up. But it's not going to impact our recruiting decisions or trade positions. What state the player comes from.
We're chatting with Josh Marnie, Essendon GM of football, on the news today that Jake Kelly has joined the club, has been traded to the club after 110 games with the Crows. Dylan Shield, required player in the setup for next year, not on the trade table, not being discussed about going anywhere?
Yeah, definitely in the mix for next year. I think it's unfair, some of the commentary around Dylan. If you have an interrupted pre-season, that puts you behind the 8 ball, and then to get injured in round 2 and miss 15 games of footy and come back and play the last 5 or 6, I'd challenge any player in the league to come back and play totally at their best for those last 5 or 6 games. But we think he's an important player through our midfield, and very much so required player for us.
The manager of Ben King says it's unfair for clubs to be speaking to him when he's under contract for 2022. Speculation that your club and other clubs may be sort of rattling that cage a little bit. Are you in contact with his management? Would you like to get Ben King to your footy club?
I think the only comment I make, I agree that players are in contract. You have to respect that, and some conversations may happen at different stages, but I don't think that has to be made public at any stage. But in terms of our own targets at different stages, we like to be a club that talks about things when they get done rather than speculating. I don't think it's fair on the players.
No doubt. Luke Dunstan, looking for a new footy home. Does he fit anything into expectation at Essendon? Is he someone that you're looking at, and if the cards were to fall a certain way and you could get in there without having to give up too much, would he be a player that we might see at Tullamarine?
I think the key thing during this trade period, and Adrian Dodoro does a great job of this, is you've got to find out the options and know what's happening in the industry and ask a lot of questions. And we've been linked to a lot of different players at different stages, and what that really just presents the club is with some options and opportunities. So it will bring that back to list management and start making those sort of decisions. But Luke is someone that Adrian's spoken to, and it is an option that we are looking at different stages.
Good signing, Alex Rance as a development coach. Is he still fit enough to play, and would he find his way on your rookie list?
It seems to be the first question I get asked when talking about Alex. But he has signed as a development coach. So that has to be
but
clear
what does that
he's a
mean,
coach.
Josh? What does that mean? Really?
It means that he's not going to be playing. He's a coach. But in the end, it is a great signing, and our coaching group has done a great job in the environment we're able to create this year. And as I mentioned, saw a lot of improvement. But particularly for our group, we had 15 players at the start of the year, hadn't played a game of AFL footy or less than 3. So we've got a young group, and a lot of those are developing tools. And to bring someone in like Alex with his history in the game, but his passion for coaching and his fundamentals work, they're going to improve our players, no doubt, just having him around the club.
Okay, so think of this headline, Josh. Think of this headline, Essendon GM of football. Categorically, Alex Rance won't be rookie listed and won't be will be playing with Essendon next year. Categorically, you're going to dispel that speculation.
I'm comfortable with that headline.
The Victorian government has today mandated that all authorised workers, of which AFL players do qualify in that, will need a jab by October 15 and be fully vaccinated by November 26 to be able to return to work and on the work site. Will that be an issue for your club, your players, staff? Is everyone on the same page? Or, we've seen with some of the NBL teams and some other sports where players are just against vaccination. Everyone has a choice, but is that choice going to decide whether they come and work and play with your football club?
Yeah, it's not a new conversation. It's probably been going on for now, probably 4 to 6 weeks at clubs around all this. So, we've probably the right thing that the AFL did was start off with education on vaccines and the different types of vaccines. Did a great job coming around the clubs talking about that. and that gave the players a lot of confidence, and that was really important. And I think players at the moment are going around and they've got their own choice they're making. So I don't know the exact number, but a high percentage of our players have either double vaxxed already or have had one. Probably one of the key things that, from our point of view, we didn't want to do it during the year, so they waited till post-season, and the same with our staff as well. So I don't think it's going to be an issue for us, moving forward, because we've had a lot of good conversations, and if it has to be as a group or an individuals, we're getting the right people to give the right information to the right in the right way.
Appreciate your time so far. Just a couple of texts from people who are mad Essendon fans. They want to know, when do you make a public decision on the captaincy for 2022, or does that stand as it is with Dyson Heppel, or will there be, or are there talks about a change of captaincy? That's question one.
No, we haven't got a timeline on that at all. Obviously, the most important thing is the players have some time away right now. The positive was that Dyson got back and played a full season of football, which he hasn't done for a period of time. We're in a good position. We think we've got a number of players that could step into that role, but Dyson's done a terrific job for us, so we'll get to that at the right time.
Aaron Francis, future required player, on the trade table, asking to go. What's the vibe, according to one of your Bombers faithful on the text line?
What's the vibe? The vibe is that at the moment he's back in South Australia. He played a few different roles for us this year. He played back, and then as a requirement went forward, we think Aaron's still got a lot of improvement left in him, and look forward to him cementing our spot and becoming a really important player.
All right, that's good news there. And you were linked to the AFL GM of football role. Why did you ultimately not put your hand up for it, or take it right to the end and decide to stay at Essendon?
In the end, the decision was made because I'm just loving what we're creating at Essendon. I've been here for less than a year. The environment's a great environment to work. There's so much potential in this playing group and the staff that we've got here. And we've only started on our journey. It was Ben Rutten's first year. So, really being able to be involved in that for a longer period of time was the main reason that I made those decisions. And
my final question for you, did you get a buzz out of seeing Melbourne get the flag? I mean, you had a lot to do with the sort of recalibration of that football club over the time that you were there at the Demons. Did you get a buzz out of seeing them and some people that you've worked with closely celebrate the success?
It was really exciting to watch the way Melbourne played this whole year, and then to have the ability to watch them as a fan in the grand final. I didn't have all those game day nerves or having to worry about different things. So to watch them to experience that and to see the joy in everyone's faces, it's ultimately what my job is to give players and staff the opportunity to be involved in premierships, and walk away really proud of what we're able to build at Melbourne, and for them to get the ultimate reward is really satisfying.
And judging by the way things Essendon are tracking, it could be the Bombers not too far away from doing the same with you in and around that football department as Essendon GM of footy. Josh, appreciate your time. Thanks for all the answers there, and may the trade period continue to be of success on the back of the Jake Kelly joining the club from Adelaide. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Tim.
Good on you, mate. There's Josh Marnie, Essendon GM of football, answering all those questions, and your questions that you provided also. And that is a pretty open and honest Josh Marnie. And yes, there's a lot of people on the temper text line sort of making sure that we don't miss the fact is he played a pivotal role in the setup of the Melbourne Football Club. But now the Bombers fans get the Marnie influence. A trade update for Tyre Power, number one on the trade table. Tyre Power, tyre experts you should always trade with.